Juan, actually, I'm personally very interested in like what has been in the last year, right? I have seen a lot from the US point of view of, this is how AI is changing everything, right? ChatGPT blew up and got a lot of people excited, right? Maybe 100 million plus users and all that. But can you talk about what was it like in Korea? Like what did it look like? What were people's reception or, you know,
Mm.
what was their reaction to everything?
I think there's not a big difference from the US because everyone is doing the same thing. Just say wow to ChatGPT, then its applications, and the first thing made in US, and then some products are coming to Korea. I think that's most things are be done by like this US first and then Korean next. There's an interesting things that Korean cloud companies like Naver Clouds or Kakao or SKT or after ChatGPT shows its possibility that it can have very big impact, the other Korean companies started to make more good for Korean language models, especially for Koreans.
What would you say is what makes it challenging for like even the big Korean companies to create a Korean language model that is, as good as the GPTs of the world? Like why is it more challenging to do a Asian or Korean language model versus English, let's say?
Korean is like hard to process because uh, its combinations are pretty different from the English because English each letters are just one letters, but in Korean language, like four letters are just one become one letter. It's hard to explain, but I saw the instruction that from OpenAI that four letters are like one tokens, but in Korean, one letter is about three tokens. There are very big differences from that. And so the generation speed is much slower than English, and token usage are much bigger than English, about three, multiple three. GPT is actually not good model for using Korean languages because it's much more expensive and it's much more slower.
Mhm.
So Korean big companies have interest to make their own Korean language models.
If you were to just estimate, what is the timeline that we will see a as good model coming from Korea, from one of these companies that will be competitive with the English-based models? How long will it take?
Even I actually like Korean companies, but I'm not sure. Yeah, they still have a lot to do. Yeah, especially GPTs are good at like natural language processing, like NLP tasks, like more summarizing or entity parsing or something like that, or processing JSON format data. Current Korean language models are not good at that kind of things, so it's hard to make agents with Korean language.
Yeah.
I think
Hmm.
GPT-4 is much better. Have Korean companies have to do a lot of things to catch up.
I think it's going to be a very interesting space in the next few years. And
Mm.
yeah, I'd be very curious to see what comes out. So we talked a lot about the things that maybe a lot of people are very interested in, things like planners, agents, and just things that are very popular, right? But in your opinion, right, what is something that people are not paying enough attention to in AI?
Mhm. I believe that the impact of the AI on society is pretty big. There's a possibility that we'll see a gradual and great increase in unemployment, especially the generative AI is overwhelming the productivity of human in text writings or making drawings or illustrations or animations. Especially these kind of things can be very disruptive because I know it's extreme case, but it would be nice. there can be half of our humanity lose their jobs. Think about the life that half of our humanity, as I mentioned before, have no jobs, and there are so many conflicts over there because of riches and pools, and yeah, there's an opportunity differences. So the first case, the kind of first case is that I think Midjourney show us in the illustration field or animation field. So I think people want to continue, all the people continue to support and get benefits from the AI. We need to pay more attention to how artificial intelligence can be integrated into our society.
One of the things that I know about, or at least see, right? So I'm Taiwanese and I have family in Taiwan, and a lot of the young people in Taiwan find it very difficult to imagine like living there, or at least maybe finding a job or raising family and all that. And a big part of that is because there's not as many opportunities, or the opportunities don't pay as high. Let's say even the jobs that they do take, right? Especially with AI coming in, maybe it can, get rid of them, or they'll lose those opportunities. Is that something similar in Korea? Are there people who maybe are at risk, more at risk of job loss or economic disruption because of AI?
I think some designers has some fear from generative AI that Midjourney shows, and that's the case that I exactly seen in our company. Our designer said, I'm afraid of losing my jobs because of AI. Yeah, that's the one of the case I saw in Korean, and I actually have many conversations with other fields, but many people trying to practice the prompt engineering because people who can't handle the ChatGPTs or something like large language model applications can't compete with the one that prompt engineering masters. So people are trying to learn it and practice it. And the books for prompt engineering is introducing how to using ChatGPTs better are those bestsellers in Korea.
And yeah, a lot of people are trying to figure out how can I prepare myself for that future. Fascinating to see that like this topic, prompt engineering and all that, honestly didn't really exist a year ago, a year and a half ago. And now everyone's trying to learn it. Everyone's trying to stay on top. So we talked about something about like what people are not paying enough attention to. But for you personally, what would you say you are excited about for the future?
I like the company DeepMinds. I often look at the DeepMinds research papers. So here are some recent studies I found interesting these days. First, they discovered the new sorting algorithms to improve the computational powers with generative AI. And there are some prediction techniques that could help advanced nuclear fusions. That one of my favorite fusion technologies that could give energy freedom. I like its idea. I like nuclear fusion idea. The last thing is that they recently published a paper on robot agents. I think robot can bring co-pilots into the real world. At that point, a lot of work can really going to be conversational based, and our imagination on SF movies or SF novels can be really here, really realized.
And when you say SF, you mean like sci-fi, right?
Yeah,
Or
sci-fi. Mhm.
yeah, yeah. Well, I guess what are some of your favorite sci-fi books, movies, or things that you really like?
I really like movie Dune. Do you know about that?
Yes.
Dune. That great graphics and soundtracks and its whole massive universe is actually so cool. It's not a AI society, but yeah, I like just its CGs, graphics. Yeah.
I watched it, and one of the things I remember from it is that it does sort of paint a picture that like, oh, in the future, right, people are going to be fighting, competing against or for like very scarce resources, and a lot of
Yeah.
groups or people form to maybe protect themselves or protect their tribe. I find it interesting that this is like not a new concept. This is something that has been around for thousands of years. People have competed for these resources, but it's being expressed in a like new sci-fi way.
I think there's one more thing that this movie shows how technologies and society should they should go well together, because although it isn't shown in the movie, but there's a hidden story that factions discontented with AI. Some people are not unhappy with the AI, so they lead a massive revolt, destroying all the things related to the AI and shifting back to human-centric world. So it's astonishing that such concepts are already imagined back in the 1960s, 70s. I think 60s, 60s. And even now, it seems like a very, very reasonable scenario. So the point is that I want to say here is just this movie is talk about, let's always consider the harmony. What is other words? Harmony or cooperate with between technologies and society. I think we as a AI interview, I want to say these things too.
Yeah, it's not just the technology by itself, right? And it's not just people by itself, right? People build technology for cooperation, for harmony, right? And hence even like the podcast I'm making, right? The humans of AI, right? It's not two separate topics. They're actually one topic. Juan, well, thank you so much for this time. I
Yeah.
really appreciate it. And thank you again for being a very active and valuable member or community member and contributor to the Semantic Kernel. We really enjoy seeing the new PRs that come out every time you release something. So
Yeah.
so keep it coming, and we will, when we get the chance to, we will review and do all that. But Juan, I guess for the listeners who want to maybe follow what you're doing or to learn more about you, right, where can they find you?
The easiest thing is, I think, connect me with LinkedIn or visit our Coxway website, but it's not fully built. So easiest way is to just click my GitHub profile and click LinkedIn page, I think.
Sounds good. Yes, I will
Yeah.
put a link to your profiles in the
Ah,
chat.
thank you.
So on
Thank you
this
so
description.
much.
So all right.
Thank you so
Well, thank you
much.
again, Juan, and
Yeah.
get some sleep.
Good night.
All
Bye.
right. See you.